You know, I usually stay out of these conversations, but with Caitlin Clark, I can't stay silent anymore.
When the greatest of all time talks, the entire arena holds its breath. Moreover, this time, Michael Jordan wasn't just focused on his own legacy. He turned the focus on Caitlin Clark, the emerging superstar who's redefining women's basketball after every shot she takes. In a moment that rocked the court and left Clark emotional, MJ gave a stirring homage that resonated far beyond the stage. But what exactly did he say that brought the throng to its feet? Fasten your seatbelt. This is the rise of Caitlin Clark, one moment that you should not pass up. Michael Jordan and Caitlin's ascent. Clark. When Michael Jordan takes a step into the public eye, especially when it comes to players outside the NBA, it's not the norm. It's intentional. And when that rare spotlight comes on a WNBA rookie, people notice. Jordan has long keeping his analysis on the women's game to a minimal, preferring to support from a distance while leaving his mark in the men's league by way of ownership, branding, and worldwide impact. But when he does talk, particularly about a rising star like Caitlin Clark, it isn't only praise. It's a profound change in how grandeur is understood. Clark is not merely gathering data. She's radically altering the WNBA's presence. Her appearance has caused record-breaking attendance figures and unprecedented television ratings, which she's turned into the Indiana Fever traditionally quiet confrontations into sold-out events with more than 1 million fans tuning in per game. However, her ascent is significant not only in numbers. The ripple effects contain it. Within cities where she frequently plays games broadcast, programs for young basketball players are flourishing, camps are filled, and girls are picking up basketballs not merely to play, but to be heard and seen. That type of impact resembles what Jordan previously did on the men's side. Back in the 90s, he didn't merely prevail in games. He reinterpreted what a basketball player could stand in for globally. As his Jordan brand now quietly forms alliances with the WNBA, there's a new level to that star's heritage. The commercial aspect of his empire is changing, aligning itself with the commercial potential and cultural importance of elite women athletes. It's no longer about if the women's game business-related issues. It concerns how that value is rising quickly. Moreover, at the heart of that surge is Clark. Thus, when Jordan publicly acknowledges it's not coincidental for someone like Clark. His uncommon yet forceful words aren't only nods of approval. They're pronouncements that force both fans and brands to pay notice. His legacy carries a weight that few others can equal. And when he highlights someone, it becomes harder for the sports world to look away. It's a form of cultural transfer, something beyond endorsement, not merely mentoring, though. Social media has only amplified that crossover energy. These days, recognition isn't confined to award stages or ESPN interviews. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok let stars to interact in real time, to publicly help each other, and to build stories that transcend league boundaries and gender boundaries. It's within that Jordan's acknowledgement of the Clark landed, not as a silent gesture, but as a pivotal moment that spread like wildfire through digital space. Corporate branding have become popular quite quickly. Joint campaigns featuring male and female athletes aren't only about exposure. They're about synergy, a strategy that lets audiences think basketball magnificence without bounds. As more businesses fund this goal, veteran icons and budding stars are being drawn into shared spotlight moments. Those moments provide space for the past and future to intersect, where someone like Jordan can validate a force like Clark without saying much at all. And just as Jordan's statement seemed unmatched, why did Larry Bird and Shaq unexpectedly step in with unexpected praise of their own? Stay tuned. Larry Bird and Shaq. When the greats can't look away from Larry Bird, Caitlin Clark, and unknown for huge public gestures or dramatic headlines, made a statement that landed heavier than it sounded. In his customary calm tone, he stated that last season he discovered that he was observing Iowa as he observed Indiana State, his own alma mater, the location that initiated his amazing adventure in the late 90s. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't overstated, however. For a player of Bird's caliber, it stated everything. Birds don't waste words. Thus, when he places Caitlin Clark on the same mental plane as the games, that people pay attention to how he shapes his career. What is more captivating is the type of basketball Bird appreciates. He doesn't follow the hype. He values the grind, the vision and decision-making. Additionally, Clark's style mirrors those very things. Her long-range accuracy, rapid intuition, and the capacity to regulate the tempo echo the features that formerly identified Bird himself. His comment wasn't just casual appreciation. It showed a kind of admiration rooted in regard for how the game is supposed to be performed. Bird's subtle nod spoke volumes to those who understand how rare it is for women's basketball to break through the old person's personal radar school legends. But it wasn't very long before Shaquille O'Neal, flashy, outspoken, and fiercely loyal, added his own surprising voice to the expanding list of greats. Now, paying close attention to Caitlin Clark, Shaq's voyage to becoming a fan of Clark wasn't immediate. Early on in her WNBA career, his devotion had plainly inclined towards Angel Ree, a player he's consistently backed by the public. However, as Clark continued to dominate with poise, confidence, and gammy-turning skill, something shifted. It wasn't only the headlines or the hype. It was what he observed for himself. And when he finally addressed it, the change in tone was undeniable. "Now I'm not Shaq. I'm a fan," he remarked, peeling back his larger-than-life persona for a little period of straightforward candor. He wasn't merely complimenting her. He was explained why. He discussed her playmaking, her capacity to build chances, and how she becomes better everyone around her. He noted how she decisions weren't merely ostentatious, but correct. Shaq has played alongside legends. He knows the difference between brief thrill and long-lasting excellence. And in Clark, he saw the latter. What made his praise even greater, it was amazing how effortlessly it came despite his former stance. There was no reluctance. He acknowledged how a player's image can be distorted by television performance, but stated that Clark's game was better in person. Her motion, her shot selection, her leadership, it all translated. Shaq wasn't interested in sound bites. He was quite impressed by her control, intelligence, and maturity on the floor. And he made it evident that what she's doing isn't typical. Recognition from figures like Bird and Shaq is more than just confirmation. It's a shift in how the game is being perceived by those who have defined it. Their adoration doesn't come from sentiment. It originates from the logic of basketball. Years spent researching what makes at the top level players stand out. And as the scream of tails still echoed around her, why did Team USA depart? Is Caitlin Clark no longer on the Olympic team? Is it there more to the story? Let's find out. When a comeback is fueled by criticism, Caitlin Clark's silent uprising. There's a particular quiet that accompanies being left out. Not the type that echoes through an empty arena, but the kind something stays in your chest when your name is not included in the list. Caitlin Clark has felt pressure before, but being left off the U.S. Olympic roster brought a different weight. It wasn't simply about one tournament. It was the symbolic message that scared fans and critics alike. For many, it was unimaginable. A player who had rekindled enthusiasm for women's basketball, full of venues and increased TV viewership, now sidelined at the world stage. It didn't seat correctly. But not everyone perceived it as catastrophic. Dwight Howard, a man whose NBA experience was packed with highs and bruises alike, saw it as a test, one that might turn out to be a blessing. "This should make her go harder in the gym," he said plainly, offering no sugar-coated compassion. It wasn't a dig, but a challenge. Howard wasn't minimizing her agony. He was pointing towards what lay beyond it. He'd seen it before. Athletes who are frequently ignored make the world regret it by finding a way. He expected nothing less from Caitlin. And perhaps, just possibly, that exclusion provided Caitlin the one thing she hadn't had space for a long time. Without the turmoil of an Olympic schedule, without the examination of each item amplified on the world stage, she found time to recalibrate. Her absence from Paris gave her the opportunity to hone her skills. In harmony. While the cameras turned, she stayed at the gym somewhere else. Her fire wasn't a showpiece. It was intended for herself. Not every additional was seen by the crowd. Drill or late-night movie shoot, yet it was happening quietly, persistently. In other news, former NBA guard Jeff Teague wasn't keeping silent. From his viewpoint, the WNBA had mishandled a fantastic chance. "They played this all wrong," he remarked, shaking his head. Teague had never been one for headlines, yet when he talked, his irritation came out clearly. Not only had the league underutilized Caitlin, they'd alienated a wave of fans she brought with her. Games were selling out all of a sudden. Merchandise was flying. The numbers on social media had increased. And yet, her welcome had been anything but warm. Teague wasn't alone in his view. Additionally, Hall of Famer Rick Barry something sharper to him. The Caitlin's experience with physicality wasn't only rough, it was personal. "It's reprehensible," he said of the repeated targeting. This wasn't the usual rookie treatment. And coming from Barry, a man who participated in games when hard fouls were common, that said it all. What disturbed him wasn't just the contact. It was the top's message. If stars aren't protected, what kind of tone does that all set? In those early months, every game she played carried extra weight. Each and every foul felt like a challenge. Each and every star-own a caution. And yet, no theatrics, no angry interviews, just focus. She absorbed it all gently, professionally. Gradually, things began to shift. Her teammates stood taller. Rivals took note, even if they wouldn't confess it. The silence that once felt like rejection began to carry a distinct type of tension. It no longer signaled doubt. It hinted to something building. Because now this isn't just about packed arenas or unprecedented figures. Caitlin Clark is becoming a force that the basketball world can't ignore. Moreover, as her game keeps doing the talking, the silent respect from legends starts to felt less like whispers and more like prophecy. So, what happens next? Stick around, as this narrative is just getting began. The fire they can't ignore. The fire they can't ignore from the outside, it could appear to be a continuous rising, yet within the center of it lays a gathering storm. Jealousy, pressure, heritage, and expectation all converging on one player. And when someone like Michael Jordan talks, the basketball universe listens. His words about Caitlin weren't casual praise. They were a torch passed. "She's got that fire," he stated. "The kind that frightens others and claims that she is superior to each participant in the 2025 U.S. Olympic team." But Jordan wasn't talking about opponents on the scoreboard. He intended those who considered her triumph as a threat rather than inspiration. "The way they target her," he added, "isn't about the game. It has to do with fear." Coming from the individual whose profession was devoted to silencing doubters with every stroke, his message was evident. Ignore the hubbub and remain concentrated, and let the game do the talking. That advice wasn't a pep talk. It was an blueprint. Jordan was aware, after all.